So that's been a big part of this too, is seeing something that was forgotten and abandoned, restored life in it. And then I think there were so many people that also wanted to see that be true too, that everybody rallies around that.
Yes.
And so I'm just grateful because we didn't do it. We didn't do it. You know what I mean?
Welcome back to the Talk Midland podcast. My name is Logan Richetti with Modern Realty. Today I have my pal, Renee Deckrow.
Hello.
In your building.
In my building.
Live Oak Coffeehouse.
That's right.
I have known you for several years, and I have been very excited to watch the growth of you and your husband's vision and your businesses, your coffee, and everything in between. And right now, you are endeavoring on another adventure. What's happening right now?
We are. Thank you. We are expanding to our 5th location. We are taking on the Grove Tea Lounge building, and we plan to open Live Oak East Side there hopefully by the end of the year.
So this will be your 5th location?
Yes.
Can you take me back through the history of Live Oak Coffeehouse from where you initially envisioned it to how it's gotten to 5 locations today? Can you just kind of walk us through the timeline a little bit?
Oh, yes. Oh my goodness. Well, it has definitely exceeded all of my expectations. So it really began is a idea to offer better hospitality to, we had been doing a lot of community gatherings. It's always been at the heart of everything we do, is creating community, inviting more people to come to things. And we were at that time doing what was called captured community. So we were doing, art gatherings, like lots of different art types of things. And we were looking for, to have a coffee cart for that. And I had called around, and nobody was really offering coffee carts at that time. And so we decided to start pursuing what it would take to put a coffee house into the building. And around that same time, Journey's Coffee House announced that they were not going to be staying in their downtown location. So we actually invited them to to put their coffee house in here. We had a really nice meeting with Pastor Ed. Actually, at that same time, Ford was in this building. That was Pastor Mark Burks. And that was an organization that helped people to find employment, to be prepared for the workplace. And so it was a really great meeting. And really at the end of it, they just kind of looked at us and said, "We think you should do it." So that seems to be actually the repeating trend. It's always been like that, where somebody else says, "We think you should be the ones to do this." So we were like, okay. Aaron and I had always wanted to, someday in retirement, maybe open a cafe. We've always loved coffee houses. We love coffee house culture. We love, we just love anything that can happen over a cup of coffee, right? I mean, I feel like you have the best conversations, even your own kind of personal dreaming and, business plan writing or, all of that usually happens when you're sitting with a cup of coffee or tea, right? Sure. So that was something that, when we were kind of given that like baton, we were like, okay, yeah, we'd love to do that. We can't imagine doing it, we didn't feel equipped or ready at that time. But the invitation was there. And so we decided to, as people of prayer, really pray about it and see what would happen. And so we decided to meet with contractors and to see what it would cost to do it. And before you know it, all of the provision was happening. Yeah. We had really great contractors that kind of understood our vision, what we were looking for. We had just gone to Nashville. And toured all of the coffee shops in Nashville. So we had a lot of ideas. I had a whole, notebook filled with pictures. And so I love that part, right? I love creating the spaces. Like that for me is one of my favorite parts about it is really creating the cozy spaces. But then we needed to find, people that knew more about coffee than we did. And at that time, Daniel Terhune was also working at Forward. And so when we put out a call for, a general manager to help us, we did several interviews, but, he definitely surprised us in every way because he's basically a culinary artist. He totally just, he's the one who's created all of our menu. And just, it was like from there, all of the pieces just kept coming together. But I do have to say, I really did envision it just being a quiet little coffee shop. I remember, at that time, I had the photography business. And so I kind of imagined that we'd have people working in maybe both.
Yeah.
So I had no idea that it was going to grow and expand to this level. I had no idea. The community's reception to, to having a space was surprising, really. We'd really determined from the beginning, too, to really make it a community place, and we wanted to be really engaged in the community. As a storyteller, I've always wanted to be able to highlight other people and their stories and all the good things in the community, and the coffee house just became a way and an avenue to do that.
Yeah.
And again, creating that place that we could host events. So we did, puzzle nights, trivia nights. I remember our first trivia night, we hosted the office, and we did it in the loft. And we didn't have enough chairs. This is the thing. This has all been on a shoestring, so we didn't even have enough chairs to really be doing this sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we did a bring your own chair, and we had over 200 people come with camping chairs. So people were wanting this, right? I think it was just at a time when people wanted to come and be together and really do whatever, At that time, it's trivia. We'll drink coffee and have trivia. Sure. So it was, it's been a lot like that. And, coffee blitzes were something that we did where we'd go surprise people with coffee and then again get to kind of share their story, the good things they're doing in the community.
I love that. You came to Modern Realty once. It was really exciting. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that has been, part of what's been so fun and, great about it is getting to know people. But that kind of that opportunity that I had was to be able to leave the shop and not have to be in it all the time because we really wanted to build a company that wasn't centered around us. You know what I mean? So then I had that flexibility that I could go around town dropping off coffee, right? So, yeah, it has just far exceeded my expectations. I really have been pleasantly surprised.
Well, let me ask you a few questions about the building itself and when you bought this building, I was involved in that transaction indirectly. I don't know if you ever knew that because I bought another property that was owned by the same owner.
Okay.
And so I had heard about this building. I never pursued it at the time that you were pursuing it, but I had heard a lot about it indirectly. And so when I watched you and your husband buy it, you completely transformed it. What was the history of this building? And also, did you buy this building for your photography studio have a home, or what was the catalyst around actually going after and acquiring this beautiful building?
Oh, good questions.
Do you remember?
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Well, okay. So that would be another example of somebody saying, you should buy this building. So I guess, let's kind of rewind the tape a little bit. We were in a small space in this building with the photography studio.
So you were a tenant here with Captured?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And so when the entire, let me just back up. But with Captured, it was more than just photography. It was really becoming a community builder, right? So we were, again, having those, the workshops, bringing other photographers in to learn. We did a lot of photography workshops teaching other people. So we've always had a passion to help people learn and grow. So that has really been the heartbeat of why we said yes to the building. So getting people connected to something that they're passionate about, helping to equip them with the knowledge or the skills that they need to do the thing. And so as you're doing that, you're getting, you're kind of getting momentum. A lot of people were coming to these different things. And so when the opportunity to kind of expand, it's like a plant in a container, you got to make a bigger container for it. it was certainly like interesting, right? Like, okay, yes, if all things are good, right? Like if you're not afraid of really failing, right? Like if you can be confident that you're going to have everything you need to do this big scary dream, then sure, I would love to keep making beautiful spaces. I at that time was really looking at a lot of different co-working places, business incubators, and so, I mean, again, I was following something in Atlanta called Rome. And so, again, then that's kind of the coffee house kind of connected to that. And so the idea of co-working was something that I loved because I'm a more the merrier kind of person. Like I love like being in creative spaces where everybody's doing something alongside one another. Maybe not necessarily together, but I love also collaboration. So the whole idea of a business incubator was something that I was really, I had been thinking a lot about, desiring for a place like that. And so when you get the opportunity to acquire 16,000 square feet to do that, that's both exciting and terrifying.
Yeah.
So
yes, both.
Both, yes. And so again, it was just another faith journey. And that was the first faith journey, really.
That's a big one.
Huge.
Yeah.
And, honestly, looking back, it was probably like foolish too, right? Like we just didn't know enough. Like I feel like in some ways there was a naivete to it, like just like a big dream and a big vision, but not necessarily, and then kind of a big faith that like, okay, if this is something that we're supposed to do, then it will work out.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute because from a real estate standpoint, a 16,000 square foot building that in some ways had some deferred maintenance and and has a lot of, elements to it. That many square feet in and of itself is expensive to maintain, to repair, to renovate, and operate. Yeah. Okay. This building, there's a rich history in this building, as you know. It's been a lot of different things over the years. But when you think about going to a bank and borrowing money to acquire a building to operate, and that's not what you do for a living, there is a lot of unknown factors. It takes a great deal of faith, a naivete, whatever you call it, just blind faith going in to take a risk like that. People, I think some people see it now and they just think it's a great building, but they don't realize how much effort, how much risk, how much faith, how much sacrifice and vision, and then execution that you and your team had to achieve to make this building the success that it is today. So I admire you for that. And I really, really, I think people need to stop for a moment and say, wow, imagine this big 16,000 foot space was available and you have a chance to go and take on debt to acquire it so that you can create this vision and actually make this dream come true. It takes a lot of guts. You two have a lot of guts.
Thank you. It made me cry because it was a big thing.
And these things aren't always successful.
Yeah.
It's the success is not a foregone conclusion in real estate development like this. It's far from it. I've been on both sides of it. And I think you should just be very proud and very, I think proud is the word. You should be proud of what you've accomplished here. And not only with the building, obviously I like the buildings on the real estate part, but all these spaces and all these businesses, and obviously Live Oak is the one that we're talking about today that you created inside of this space. And it fits amazingly well, and it aligns very well with your vision and your personal morals and value system. So congratulations.
Thank you.
It's okay if you cry a little bit.
Well, and I would just say, I think I'm more than proud. I'm just grateful. Yeah. I'm really grateful to God for, leading us to this and then giving us the confidence to do it. And I'm just so grateful to all the people. I mean, lots of them, from, Star Gus to Daisha Parker to Emily Wolfgang. Like it was just, we were surrounded by so many other dreamers. I say dreamers and doers, right? So this was really a collaborative effort from a lot of people that wanted to see something restored. So I think that that's been a big part of just my own personal story. I love to see restoration of broken things. So that's been a big part of this too, is seeing something that was forgotten and abandoned, restored life in it. And then I think there were so many people that also wanted to see that be true too, that everybody rallies around that.
Yes.
And so I'm just grateful because we didn't do it. We didn't do it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We were surrounded by just a really wonderful community that said, we want to help see you do that. And we're going to be here to, help you. And that's really how it was. I mean, from the minute we did that. Oh, it's such a sweet little post. It just seems we're so little, this big building. I immediately got, people sending me messages. Oh, I knew you guys, we'd be the perfect people to do that. I want to be a part of it. And so, people started filling it up, and we were able to break out the spaces to be a little bit more approachable. Instead of like having larger suites, we had a lot of smaller ones. So actually where the roaster is and the kitchen is to this day, was a lot of different smaller offices. And, really that's been, we were talking earlier about business, and what our heart was is to create a space where people who are beginning a dream could actually tangibly see it be executed because there's a lower barrier to entry, right? Because that, to your point, it's very risky to start anything. And so when you have a dream and you start looking at all these barriers, what the building allowed us to do was lower that barrier for a lot of people and say, okay, that's a really good idea. You can, rent a space for this, a smaller amount of money that would be, more affordable for now while you're building, So it has been an incubator. A lot of businesses have come from starting here. I mean, Pizza Baker was in our kitchen, and so that's been really exciting to see other people succeed out of that little small faith step.
Incubate.
Yes.
Incubate was one of the businesses, right?
Yep.
It was in
Corinne.
And I dealt with her a little bit. She was great. And that was the same concept, right?
Yes.
It was really well aligned with helping small businesses get off the ground and grow.
Yes.
Also a lot of female empowerment, a lot of small minority empowerment, a lot of just empowerment in general has come out of this building.
Yep.
Can you walk me through, I know there's 3 floors here? Two floors? Okay.
Well, basement.
Well, okay. 2 floors. We're on the main floor, and then the upper level has Little Midland.
Yes.
And did you create Little Midland?
I did not.
Oh.
No.
What's the scoop
again,
there?
see, I can't take credit for any of these things. It's always somebody's good idea that, they get started and then,
You push it along.
Yeah, okay. Well, cheer it on. Beatrice, she actually opened Rebar recently. So we had that loft space, which is a very large space that had a dance studio when we first moved into the building. So it was a dance studio. It's been a dance studio. It was Midland Gymnastics. But it was, it became vacant. And then we, Jazzercise in Midland loved the space. And so they were there. We had fitness rentals in there because that was the other things. We started breaking up our spaces to be rentals for. Again, you could rent it for the day, the hour, that kind of a thing.
Cool.
Again, breaking it down so it's more approachable, tangible for people. And so as B was managing that space, because she was a fitness instructor, and then she was working with Jazzercise they were sharing the space essentially. She came to us with this brilliant idea, which is Little Midland today.
Yeah.
And that was really cool too, because that's, again, another collaborative thing. I mean, lots of businesses sponsored the little houses that are in there. So she really came up with this idea of like, how can I create this little miniature city, but also encourage other businesses to be a part of it so that it's from our businesses for our kids. And so it's great. And it's been fun to refresh and revive it. We did have to take it to private play dates. We, have it for private birthday party rentals. And now just this fall, we decided to, with the help of, we got a MyPros grant, to do a little bit of to refresh it, to add some cozy seating to it. Again, I'm like, how do I make it more comfortable for people to come to these places?
Well, Modern Realty had an office party there once.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, or some kind of party, or it was a staff party. I can't remember, but it was a lot of fun.
Good.
Yeah, it was a good time. And you also had somebody do a mural on the side of the building.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So that was Mark Pachowski. So I was the very first phone call I made after we bought the building was to the city planner to ask, if I was allowed to put a mural on our building. And also, how do we get signage in this part of town saying that it's Midtown? So I had heard that Midtown, that this is what people in this area called this area, called this part of town. We were doing a Midtown auto show with Dan Mattress Man.
Yep.
We had just done that. And so I was like, Midtown, I love that, And again, of course, being like, we love Nashville. So we were like, okay, that's so cool. This is Midtown. Let's own it.
Well, you kind of branded it that way.
Well, I mean, it was, so that became, again, grassroots. Everybody did, we all called it that. Yeah. So that was really fun. So I was like, can I put a mural on our building? And what do I have to do to, call this Midtown? Is this Midtown? What do we have to do to call it Midtown? And the answer I was given is, yes, you can do a mural, and also just start calling it that. And so it's just really cool because it took off, right? But the mural.
Meet me in Midtown.
Yes, meet me in Midtown.
You all created that concept, and we hear that everywhere.
Yes.
And that was associated with Live Oak and associated with the building and everything in this area, right? Yes. You have poured into this region, this part of town. And how do you describe Midtown? It's the corridor of Ashman all the way to downtown maybe, or right in, or I guess east and west or whatever. Yeah. How would you describe that region? It's not official. It's just kind of, right. You're the beacon of it.
It's unofficial. And we used to, because we also started Midtown Association meetings. So,
cool. You got the businesses together?
Yep. And community members, residents. And I remember, Dan Terhune really helped me get that going. And I remember, somebody asking that, because we started with, he had brought a board with a map. And then it would be like, I don't know, whoever wants to be a part of Midtown. So it's like, it didn't have, it's just very inclusive. Like, sure. I don't know, do you want to be a part of Midtown? Yeah, you can be a part of Midtown. Yeah. So it didn't really have defined borders. It was like, do you want to be a part of it? You can be a part of it.
I love that. I love that. Well, the city has different regions and different sectors that they're investing in. There's the circle and there's some corridors and different things like that. But it does seem like you just kind of created the concept and attracted everybody around you towards you, which is kind of a theme in your life, a trend in your life, is just attracting people to wanting to be around, wanting to be included and be part of the experience, which I think is wonderful. All right. So speaking of which, it's the coffee house now. I call it, every time we schedule, a podcast in the studio, I say it's in the Live Oak building on Ashman, and everybody knows where that is. I don't have to tell them the address.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the brand and the vision? Obviously, your core values and build a longer table and these things, and obviously you can articulate them better than I can, but they're very unique and they're very attractive and inclusive and inviting. How did you and your husband and everybody else on the team, of course, come up with the brand, the name, and the vision for how it would make people feel?
Okay. That's good questions. There's a lot of heart in this one too. So
it's okay if you cry a little bit.
Okay.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah. So we knew that. So when we had bought the building, there was a season for me that was a lot of just being really vulnerable, anxiety. To your point, it was very risky. Yeah. And it's like you jump off, and then you are building your wings all the way down. But as you're, and I had read a book at the time called Free Fall to Fly, it was a lot of anxiety. Yeah. So it required a lot of me just praying, and we said yes, we did this thing, and now what? But I remember just being really comforted that this building itself would be like an oak tree. And so when the idea that was really comforting to me, it'd be a place that people would come to and from. They would come to for rest. Respite is the thing that I really want for people. I think life is hard. Life is beautiful, but it's also it's hard, right? And if you can give people a soft, safe place, just even for a moment, it's that you've done something good in the world. And so that was really the vision for what we had intended to do then through building a coffee house. And so I remember sharing that vision with Star Guest. And she is from Louisiana. And I'm from Florida. And so she said to me, well, it needs to be, and her really cute Southern accent. And, mine's kind of gone away since I've lived in Michigan for so long. But she's like, well, it needs to be a live oak. And I was like, okay, like a live oak. And she's like, a live oak, because live oaks, that is the live oak of the South. It's the oak of the South. They're evergreen. This is the most beautiful part. As they age, their limbs come all the way down to the ground. And so it bids easy access into your care, right? So there's a lot of symbolism. They also, so when you started doing research around them, they also increased property values up to $30,000 for everything around them.
Really?
Because of their protection from life's storms. To hurricanes.
Wow.
And so, right? Like as we're researching why live oak rather than just oak, it was like, oh my goodness, that's exactly what we want for live oak to be. We want it to increase the value of wherever we are in any community, right? So, and we've been able to see that in Midtown, right? That's our hope, is that wherever we are, the community around it flourishes, right? So that was one thing. They're strong because of what they endure, right? So as we face life's challenges, we hope that makes you stronger, and we believe that it does. The other thing that I personally like about them is that I don't think they're the most beautiful tree, and that's okay, because I think they're kind of like, and they have moss, but that's a great representation of life too, right? You don't have to be beautiful to provide a lot of safety and structure for people, right? And this is the very fun serendipity of it all. The tree that I used to sit under on the swing in my front yard growing up in Florida, whenever I was dreaming or just needing a break from inside, was a live oak.
Wow.
So it just felt like a full circle, like, oh my goodness. I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, was the tree in our front yard, was it a live oak? And she's like, yes, it was. So that was when we just knew that was what we were supposed to call it. And we just had really hoped that it would live out all of those beautiful symbolisms.
Yeah.
So
there's nothing better than a business with a brand and a name that has meaning behind it. And you can tell it's thoughtful. You can tell it's meaningful. And when it aligns with the values of the business, it's even more special. It's a very special brand.
Thank you.
Congratulations for that, too. It's not easy to build a brand. And it's not easy to have that vision and then make it come to light, but you've done that as well. I love it. I'm a brand and a logo connoisseur. I love these things, and I love them when they have special meaning. And I think it helps to inspire your staff, inspire your customers, all your vendors. Everybody kind of gets behind the meaning of it. And that's, I think, in large part why it's been successful. So that's great.
Thank you.
Now, it's one thing to build a coffee shop and to build a brand and have a vision and actually find a great general manager, build a menu and have offerings and dial in different choices and create optimizations and point of sale services and all the business stuff that goes into building a business while you're doing everything else. But it's a different thing to open a second location.
Yes.
And I'm at a point in my life where I love this concept of growing impact, having more impact. So doing something that's very impactful to start and then growing that impact by expanding. Mm-hmm. You and Aaron and the team decided to expand a couple of years ago and open a second location. Mm-hmm. Where was that?
Bay City.
Okay. What the heck was going on when you decided to go 30 miles away from your home base to try a second location? Tell me that story.
So I do think that it is very hard to do the same thing twice.
Yes.
But that was kind of part of their original vision of building a business that could be replicated. Mm-hmm. And so as much as I say, I'm more of a creative and I'm more of a, dreamer, and, I just want to have this big vision and just make things beautiful. There's a really practical side to everything we've done. Yeah. And so we've read just hundreds of business books. And again, that would come from because we don't feel confident. We were talking about this earlier. I don't feel confident. And that's actually probably a good thing because it's driven me to read everything I need to read to learn about everything. I mean, even doing the first real estate thing, we're reading literally Real Estate for Dummies, right? So we're reading everything we can all the time. We're listening. We're going to conferences. We're trying to learn because we never felt like we were equipped. So we had to go get educated. We had to go get ready for all these things. And so one of the books that we had read early on was E-Myth.
Yeah.
So, okay.
The E-Myth, yeah.
So that was really helpful because we understood that we needed to build a business outside of ourselves.
Right.
And when you're like in a creative business, that was the first business we did was more creative. And so you're the one doing the thing. But when we decided to do Live Oak, we were trying to build it so that we would be able to create systems and processes, build, staff development, training programs, all of those things, so that you're building an organization that will last beyond you.
Yes.
So we've always had this vision with Live Oak that we wanted it to last 20, 30 years down the road, right? And you can't necessarily do that when it's just you doing all the things. So you really have to learn how to build systems, processes that allow it to be sustainable. And so for us, it was a big, having the opportunity to test that through opening a second location was, again, exciting and terrifying because you
don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You're like, it's a test, right? Like, well, did we do it? Were we able to build these systems and processes in order to replicate into a new community?
Yeah.
And, there are things you learn along the way of like what are important kind of ingredients. But again, it all gets tested. Like, you might think you know how to do something and then you get to a new community and you get a curveball, like, oh, we weren't expecting that.
We got to think about some of the logistics that go in from one location to two locations.
Yeah.
Now you still have some synergies, like payroll can go through the same system, but you have different schedules. You have different deliveries. You have different inventory levels.
Yeah.
So there are some elements of complexity that add on to having one location when you have a second location. And so that creates a whole new set of business challenges. I think the E-Myth and the E-Myth Revisited is the right book to read to build those out. But that comes at a tremendous risk because now you're signing a lease and now you have a space that's not as local to where you are on a day-to-day basis. Now you have to split your energy and your concentration between multiple locations. And so that in and of itself, again, is something that takes a little courage and a little faith. But I want to go back to something you said about confidence because we had this long conversation before we started about your confidence. And I told you that I think you're 12 feet tall and a lot of people in this town look at you and they see a shining leader. But I think a lot of people listening to might wonder, maybe they don't feel so self-confident naturally. And what kind of advice would you give to somebody who is wonderful and shines very bright, but internally has a hard time feeling confident? How would you advise them to work on that or just to embrace that?
Yeah.
I had to ask.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. It's important. For me personally, I think first and foremost, and it's something I've wanted for my kids. It's something that I want for, I just was in a mentoring session yesterday, is for people to understand who they are and whose they are. And when I say whose they are, that we're a child of God, right? Like we are his beloved. And so that's really the only place your confidence can come from to begin with, is knowing that you are loved, that there are things in this world for you to do, and you have what you need to do those things. You will have grace to do those things. I think for me, secondly, is that I remember as, a teenager always struggling with this and just, trying to figure out how do I feel more confident. And I just at some point abandoned that as a goal. I'm like, I probably will always struggle with this. Maybe it's just part of my personality, and that's okay.
I love this.
Because I was like, that's like, it's like kind of like strengths finder, like quit working on the things you're not good at, start working on the things that you can do. And what I can do that helps me feel more confident is, first I'll serve other people, right? Like, and then like highlight them, like talk about how great they are. Like you don't need to talk about how great you are. You don't need to even feel good about what you're doing. But when you start doing good things, when you start taking brave steps, when you start serving your community, you those things will start to grow in you. And again, not because of what you are doing, but you can start to see how, it's making a difference for other people. They this is making somebody's life better. So then that makes you feel better. And so I would say that it's also back to learning, it makes you a lifelong student.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say it's okay to not feel confident because like that actually helps you like stay like grounded. Like, well, I got to read a book. I got to listen to a podcast. I need to go talk to somebody, right? Like if I just had confidence, then I wouldn't
need that.
Need to go, call my mom and call, my friends and, read a book. So
Well, I take two really important takeaways from that, and I love this answer, and thanks for sharing it. The first one is, if you don't naturally feel confident, you can find confidence through your motivation, and your motivation can be to serve and help others.
Yes.
And all of a sudden now, the dynamics change when you want to, the more you can serve and promote and encourage others, the more energy you have to take the things that naturally from your confidence you wouldn't want to do, like be on a podcast and promote things like that. And so your motivation, you're adjusting your motivation, the source of your motivation can help you with confidence.
Yes.
And then the second thing that I heard that I love is if you naturally don't feel confident, it inspires you to go do more research and invest in yourself, more skills and more learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's another great way to build confidence. When you're thinking about insecurity and not feeling confident and not feeling great, you can go and build skills and acquire more knowledge and read and learn and ask questions. And all of a sudden that can help you to feel more confident. And if you didn't have that need, you wouldn't maybe acquire that knowledge and that skill. So that's an interesting way to look at it. I really like that. Yeah. In our family, we don't say we can't do something. We say we're still learning.
That's right.
I can't play chess. No, we're still learning.
Yeah,
we're
that's
learning.
right.
And that's okay. Learning is a great way to build confidence. So
yes.
I think that's a good takeaway.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, last question.
Okay.
This new endeavor, thank you for letting me be a part of helping you with this transaction. I watched you and your husband and your team look at this building, admire this building, instantly build a vision for taking the legacy of this Grove Tea Lounge concept, which was very similar in many ways to your concept. It was about creating a space. It was about offering opportunities for people to gather and to feel safe and feel loved. And so in many ways, it aligns with your natural vision for Live Oak, right? And so when you went in there, and by the way, this building, this renovation that they did, this physical renovation to this space was gorgeous.
Yes, so gorgeous.
I remember, I don't know how many years, 6 or 7 years ago, when they took the leap of faith and those people went in there and had a vision. It was a bank.
Yeah.
And it was, they did a tremendous physical renovation of that space. It's gorgeous. Yeah. And it aligns really well, nicely to your spaces now too. But what I admire the most about you two and watching close by in these transactions, opening the doors and getting out of the way, but was watching how you embraced with compassion and with love and with caring and with openness and collaboration, helping those owners transition from that phase of their life onto the next phase, and you taking the baton with care and compassion in a loving way. I really admire that about you and the way you all decided to handle that transition. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because there's been some media and some promotion recently, which is what's bringing to life this new chapter and part of why we're here today. Mm-hmm. Can you share with us how your heart approached that transition and how that's gone?
Yeah, gladly. Well, we just talked about all of the challenges of entrepreneurship, right? So I have a great respect for anybody that takes on a challenge, right? It's scary, it's hard, it will cost you things. It's usually, blood, sweat, toil, tears, a lot. It takes a lot of courage to take a dream and make it a reality. And they've done that, and they did it beautifully. Yeah. They did such a beautiful job, and I want to honor that. It's very hard to keep something going long term. And seasons in our lives change, our needs in our families change, and I think there shouldn't be any shame in needing to close a chapter to open a new one in your life, and so I really wanted to honor all of the work that they have done because it's a lot. And it's like when you've done it, you know, yeah. And it's a lot. It takes a lot. And so I have gratitude and I have a lot of respect. And they've done it. They've done it for a long time. And I want to make sure that people know what a blessing that has been to the community, and that we feel honored to. It's like a baby. You're taking it, and I feel like the awe of like what we're stewarding. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's something really weighty and important about what we're doing, and you have to handle that with care.
Yeah.
And but I respect greatly like what they've done, what they've started, and when you've done it, how hard it is, and so I think it takes a lot of courage, and I wanna give space and time to applaud them for that, and and again, to keep a lot of those elements moving forward, right? And we're thinking a lot about like, how do we continue to honor what people have started? We're only where we're at because of somebody before us, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, thinking about that, Journeys had done such a beautiful job creating a community space where everybody was welcome, and so we're standing on the shoulders of giants, right? So like we didn't just start, like we may have started Live Oak as a brand originally, but they had already laid a groundwork, and usually somebody's always laid the groundwork for us. And I think it's important to acknowledge that, that somebody did hard work before you got there, and you just get to kind of reap, the benefits of it. So
Renee, thank you for being on the Talk Midland podcast.
thank you for having me.
And thanks for the coffee.